get a pick off, anything really get it
Exactly
going.
right. But we are into Champion Select, ladies and gentlemen, for final number 1, INTZ versus DP. As the first ban is going to be that Fiora. I feel like we went over this one. Good to see that it is actually happening, as Na is going to be the follow-up ban. Yang not going to get his champion. Elwin not going to get his either.
Yeah, already this is not surprising whatsoever. They don't want to see the Na on Yang, and of course Elise and Fiora feels like must bans in this situation. Not only because Fiora is an Elise player, but of course the 2v2 with Elise is always in her favor. So yeah, smart pick so far.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you know, we talked about it. It's not because they're afraid of the champions, because they don't want to give them the easy play style. You don't want to give a team that has a linear play style, you know, the best picks to execute upon that. You know, make them play the Trundle, be able to pick the Shen into it. Something along those lines that, you know, INTZ, they can get an advantageous trade, because it didn't look like there was much of an answer to either the Fiora or the Elise so far.
Well, the third ban is going to be the Cassiopeia out of INTZ. It's going to finish things up for the ban list for Brazil's side, as Gangplank was the second ban for Dark Passage. So making sure that they get rid of those two very, very powerful champions on this patch, and especially in this tournament as well. Gangplank and Na have really stood out. There's Shen, the final one. So we got a serious top lane look.
That's a huge spanner in the works, because all of a sudden there really isn't a good matchup here if they take something like an Echo. I actually think that, you know, given the fact that they have hit top lane so much, you know, Echo versus Trundle, we've seen it go both ways, but because of the Trinity Force rush now, Echo actually starts winning that one out more earlier than not. So I think that this is a very interesting matchup now.
My point on this is I think that Dark Passage are going to be fine into almost any matchup going here. I think that they've seen they're willing to test out an Aurelia pick if they do go into
that's
Echo.
a good point.
So if we see an Aurelia, if we see Aurelia versus Echo, they're going to be fine with that. They're going to play towards top side.
I feel like Aurelia was standing out, but Vladimir is going to be the first pick here for INTZ. They didn't think about it too much. Tuckers just says, gimme the Bloodlord, and he's going to pick that one up straight away. So Dark Passage now with their opportunity.
And this is where the pressure comes onto the rest of the INTZ members. I mean, Revolta has to grab something like a Gragas, something like a Rek'Sai, and prove that his champion pool needs to be hit. Ashe or Jhin needs to be picked up by Macau, and he needs to have a massive game, because you can't let one member of your team in Yang cop 3 target bans on red side of Summoner's Rift. That literally means that they think that there is no other priority for INTZ to pick around. So, you know, Tokas needs to go off, Macau needs to go off. They need to start freeing up Yang's champion pool, because even if they win this game 1, I mean, there's obviously a clear game plan coming out of Dark Passage right now.
And the best thing about this is that throughout 7 games, Talkers have shown 6 unique champions. He does have an incredibly wide pool from the looks of it, so really even sending a ban out towards him doesn't seem very likely. Perhaps the Malzahar, he's shown it twice, so but he's got the Vladimir this time.
Yeah, he's already picked that one up as Bard is being considered. The Jockster there towards the bottom side of the map. Revolta just making sure the crowd is as loud as possible by hovering things like the Lee Sin and the Nidalee as well. But 7 seconds to go. We'll see whether he decides to play the Blind Monk. He's still got it there. Nope. Echo is going to be picked up, and there is the support Karma as well.
My favorite thing about this from Dark Passage is they're flexing out the Trundle. They've had played Trundle both support and topside, so they are just trying to give the best matchup possible for Elwind while not really showing too much. So the Echo pick coming through is going to be interesting to see, because Trundle has a good pick into Echo, but at the same time Aurelia does, so their last pick they should be holding on to their top lane here.
Yeah, well, of course, picking the Karma up as well. I mean, it's a notable pick into the Vladimir, so denying that one from CosQ as far as trying to stop the Bloodlord from going nuts. But Talia is still there, even if he hasn't played it so far this tournament. But with the Cassiopeia ban, there's not a whole lot of other options. 14 seconds to go.
That's still a pretty wide champion pool up. I mean, Malzahar's available, Talia's available. Yeah. You know,
Lissandra's still gone.
Yeah, Lissandra's up. I mean, there's lots that Dark Passage can play there at the mid lane.
Oh, well, no. Yeah, lots that they can play, but I mean, I'm talking about notable Vladimir counters. And I guess Malzahar's certainly one of them. So regardless, still wrong. As that is going to be Lucian picked up as well for Zeitnot.
This is going to be interesting, because I do love the Malzahar pick. Of course, first 4 or 5 levels, Vladimir will be able to shove out, but once he does get the shove in, once he can get the levels in, the first back as well, Malzahar, a Trundle, if it's a Trundle top 2, it feels like Dark Passage Passage have quite a bit of priority. And it's purple side Rek'Sai here, so top lane's going to have to really ward out a little far deeper too, because a tunnel through their own jungle is a possibility.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you know that's where it comes in, because you know Echo, I was a little bit surprised to see it, even though it's like the last really big carry threat available in the top lane. Historically, does really weird against Rek'Sai, because as soon as you go into that auto attack, you get the immediate Umbaro. Really does wreck his day. So we'll see if Yang is equal to the task. He has been in the past. I think that there is priority for Echo in this lane. I mean, I know that Trundle used to be seen as a huge counter pick to the Echo. That was when he was building Iceborne Gauntlet into pretty much pure tank. We have seen a little bit more of, you know, the aggression coming out of the Echo, you know, with first item Sheen. So I think that, you know, there is kill threat earlier in the game, but yeah, Trundle scales better than pretty much anyone. And, you know, this is a double tank line comp. They're going to have the Echo, they're going to have Revolta on Gragas pretty much building pure tank. So there's going to be good options late game, even if he wants to go towards team fight.
Yeah, exactly.
With, of course, Tokka's being pretty tanky there on the Vladimir in the mid lane as well. We've seen those Vlads get up to pretty high health bar totals, plus that Spirit Visage Rush making him pretty difficult to kill. But it looks like it is going to be that top lane Trundle, like you guys have been alluding to. As now Rogu was thinking about the Tahm Kench for quite a while. The Lucian Braum, very powerful lane in the laning phase, and I actually really like this focus from DP, making sure that they have a strong 2v2.
It's kind of weird. INTZ does, they do have the shove early, and they can pretty much dictate this lane. Dark Passage, it might be as strong in terms of skirmishing, but they really should not find themselves in that position. I do like the bottom lane coming out of INTZ.
I actually can't believe they didn't pick the Tahm Kench here.
Yeah.
I think that is a legit losing matchup now. Like Karma Ashe has got the biggest shove, and then have actual serious kill threat as soon as Gragas comes anywhere into their lane. They picked the Braum because of the Gragas. So, like, you know, that's a very obvious one. They don't want the Flash Body Slam initiation coming out here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to be able to live through the laning phase. And I don't know how they do that right now, looking at, you know, the fact that they're up against Ashe Karma, which is one of the most obnoxious long-range poking lanes in the game.
The only real way they come into this is it is based off of that. If they mess up, then, of course, the all-in from Lucian and Braum is fairly strong, but they should not find themselves in that position whatsoever. Level 6, perhaps if there is Rek'Sai and Malzahar coming into that lane, that could work well, but it feels like they're relying on that. So they get shoved in and they get poked out. Yeah,
will it need both of them, though? I mean, can it just be a cam from the jungler towards the bottom side of the map to help DP out?
Look, potentially anything's possible. We've seen that. I was talking about it the other day. You know, like you can't gank this lane. Grave walks in, just picks up a double kill. I'm bad at predicting things like this, but if played well from ITZ, no, the jungler assistant should not be enough. I mean, Ashe Karma is just way too safe in that regard.
Yeah, especially since Kirei and Elwood right now, they've picked themselves a pretty good 2v2 topside. I would be surprised if they decide then to go towards helping Zeitnot and Rogu.
Yeah. If you're throwing 3 bans top to like guarantee an echo pick and you don't camp the heck out of it because of the early shove versus Trundle, I really do question your strategy coming into the game.
Exactly.
Well, we are on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1 of this best of 5 series. The winner of this will be heading to Worlds. It's all on the line. And our home team, INTZ, looking to be the favorites up against DP for the moment, but we'll see whether they can surprise us in game number 1. So far already in the draft, some surprises.
Crowd is loud, honestly.
Going nuts right now.
Would you not be? Come on. Home crowd team, Tokka's. Gets a little bit poked out, but gotta love stuff like this, Raz.
Already a bit of a fight going on here as Zeitnot loses half of his health bar.
Ah, yes, a preview to the Joy lane right there.
Ah, there you go. The best thing about this is INTZ actually won a game simply based off that level 1. They stopped the level 1 early. I think it was against the Saigon Joker's squad. Either way, they stopped them from backing and then took it over completely and had a ward down. So
another Storm Raiders.
Yeah.
Atlas.
It's been coming out left, right, and I've been so proud.
And a Grasp Echo. Yang normally plays further battle up there, so that's a really interesting pickup as well for Yang in the top lane.
Is there a reason why you do that into Trundle specifically or something?
He has more sustain than you, I think. I just think that means he doesn't feel like he can win the all-in.
That is a vote in favor of INTZ.
best thing about the top lane matchup too is that Elwind, if he does go towards the Trundle, does get the Vamp Scepter early. Regardless, he will have quite a bit of sustain. It's going to be interesting to see how they try to stop that. Looks like Yang, of course, he took the Grasp of the Undying. He's probably just going to mitigate it, try and take small trades, and not really do too much in this matchup unless if Revolta's there.
And look at this. I mean, Jockster, level 1, solo stopped the Gromp by putting a ward down and then disappearing into Fog of War. And they're completely zoned. I mean, they're not getting experience right now. I mean, the lane's bad, but that's a zone.
Yeah, this is a disaster right now.
So yeah, it just goes back to the draft here. They pick Lucian Braum a lot. This will be probably the first time that they really get incredibly punished for it.
Yeah, and we see the best Lucian Braum lane arguably in the world when Uzi and Marta play it. Yeah. And they still can get punished for playing what is an incredibly greedy lane. I mean, there will be a time where you can go for the all-in, but you know, the fact that it's double range, the fact that it is Karma, who is so hard to take out, especially when you get zoned from 3 melee creeps of experience, is going to be bad.
Best thing about this right now is Vlad does have Shove in this lane. Curé has to watch out, cannot play towards the spot side if Revolta and Karma is going to be in the area.
Yeah, all of a sudden they want to fight, but
yeah, they're looking for
Karma's here.
Curé was
moving around as well as Curé wants to get the knock-up, but Tokka's just brutalizing both members at once.
I actually think that was a really bad flash from Revolta. I mean, Jockster was there. He didn't need to flash. That was everything that was going to come out of Curé as well as CosQ at that point. Probably could have just, you know, consolidated, even looked for a skirmish. Instead, burns an early summoner spell res.
Yeah, it must have been a bit of nerves because that was smartly played from Curé. He did recognize that was going to happen, got the hop on Revolta. It looks like he's about to die, actually. Oh, no, he's just taking camp. He's fine. He's good.
It's just the red buff. The old Gragas red buff at level 3.
But yeah,
difficult one.
It was a good overall play from INTZ to stop them from going into the blue side jungle and really start to collapse. But Curé played that smart, and he's able to get that blue buff here.
Yeah, I mean, this has to go over to the mid lane in CosQ because otherwise there's just absolutely nothing he can do. I just want to go back to the point that, you know, both teams set that one out, and then it was Dark Passage one more time, making the smart play that really solidified them an advantage in the fact that now there's no Gragas body slam.
Elwind getting aggressive. One more auto attack will do it. He flashes, and first blood goes to Elwind. And that is definitely good news for Dark Passage.
Yeah, 100%, and we already said it. I mean, you can win this lane matchup now as Echo, but the fact that you went grass means that you're looking for chip trades, not the all-in.
Yeah.
For some reason, Yang pulls the trigger on the all-in, and Elwind makes him pay for it.
He got incredibly greedy. He knew he was taking better trades and then decided to all-in on it. Realized, of course, Trundle has Pillar. He can follow you up on you, and he has a lot of damage. So definitely was incredibly greedy and paid for it off that.
Well, teleports back up towards the top side of the map as well. Stuns up all of these minions. We'll be able to hold on to this wave. See whether that's going to help out. But as far as shoving is concerned, we saw the bottom lane actually moving back in favor of DP, as Revolta is going to help Tokka's push this wave out as well.
So honestly, a nightmare early game out of INTZ right now. I mean, they had a shoving advantage top side of the map. I mean, honestly, Echo can just play this as a null factor until he goes back and picks up his Sheen. Now, Elwind is massive. He's itemized very nicely towards a Cal first, so he's not going to be able to be pushed out of the lane. Jockster and Macau had a good lane, but then, you know, the fact that Jockster went across to help Revolta, who only flashed away, didn't get an advantageous trade, allowed Zeitnot and Rogu to get back in, and then the early blue buff that should have been denied from CosQ because of an invade from Revolta went over uncontested, so now Vlad's in some trouble. Honestly, the map fell apart quite early for INTZ, and now it's about them just, you know, calming down and making sure they reset.
Yeah, exactly. And you take a look at the draft going in for INTZ, and this was really intelligently played. They had shove in every lane, and they really, as you said, go into that blue buff, and they wanted to go for it. It has come back to the part that INTZ's execution, like, sure, they're incredibly smart, but their execution on their actual tactics doesn't always come to plan.
Yeah. And I like that point. Good. You know, yeah, exactly right. The fact that they had the right idea, that they should have been looking for it, but, you know, because it didn't go their way, they're willing to make the flex, which is sending their duo into the top lane incredibly early. Now this is a 4-man push.
Yeah, 6 minutes, very early on, but of course that fortification is now gone. Revolta's going to move over as well, so the 4-man shove, like you just said.
Makes sense. I mean, they have so much priority in this top lane now. That's a huge wave that they're going to force Elwind off. If he doesn't leave, then he's going to die.
Revolta's looking for it as well. Doesn't have the cask just yet.
Yeah.
4 members here in a big minion wave. Looks like this tower will fall down. DP a little bit late to this one, and this tower will fall, and first brick should go straight over to the Brazilians.
I'm not surprised that they didn't see this coming. This is honestly the earliest we've seen the first brick go down in the tournament. Teams don't usually look to swap out of it. Of course, they swap because of the poor matchup in topside. That was really smart from INTZ. And so now they get the first brick.
There's no response. They're still going. I mean, this is this is a really poor response out of Dark Passage because Elwind was one of their win conditions. We said that they want to set up for a 1-4. All of a sudden, 3 members stayed bot. Elwind's getting shoved out, and that's 2 huge creep waves and a massive CS advantage now back with Yang just because there was no response from the Dark Passage lineup.
They should be able to defend this.
Well, Kozky's going to get his shield broken and help clear out this minion wave, but that doesn't help Elwind. And this turret is just a hair's breadth away from falling down. Curé has his whole jungle lit up as well by this time that INTZ was given.
Curé's been watching Meteors. They're the only 2 junglers that I've ever seen do this on Rek'Sai. I mean, they go towards the early armor and health of what is going to be that Jerome's Fish first, as opposed to something like a Sightstone. I mean, the stacking on jungle camps is quite quick, but that's an interesting pickup there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes out, but I think the best thing about this is now that they're far behind, not only just because of the tower push itself, but the fact that they were able to plaster that red side, top side jungle with wards does mean that right now Rek'Sai, even though he's going for this build, has a bit of damage, should be able to out-skirmish Revolta. Revolta will never put himself in that position.
Yep.
Well, we'll see whether it works as Yang's moved it down towards the bottom side of the map. Just gets out of the way of the Trundle completely. And the Trundle's now just on walkabout in the jungle, trying to find his way back into a position where he can farm. But Zidon and Rogan will get some damage down onto this outer turret on the top side of the map. And of course, things are very dark for INTZ on the top.
They certainly are. They've backed away. They're going to walk up with a minion line. The reason they backed away is because CosQ also disappeared into Fog of War, so they're bringing Revolta up. That's actually really nice. I mean, they just back away. They don't want to push anything at this stage of the game, and they want to be able to sweep out the ward. So I like the way INTZ played that. Once again, they did kind of forfeit any early game advantage they had through a poor jungle play. And they've put Macau in a pretty massive CS hole. I mean, he's 30 CS down now. As we go a little bit dark here, but I think that, you know, this is something that they should be able to battle their way back into.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Dark Passage right now, even though Elwind is a little bit behind, he finds himself not only in a good matchup, but in a longer lane too. So if Rek'Sai, if Curé does decide to actually play up towards this matchup here, could be a good find for him. But regardless of that, that's the same towards the bottom lane for Dark Passage.
Yeah, and of course Elwind now has a full minion wave to lap up underneath this turret as well. Probably should get the next one to crash at the same time. So Yang now the one with not as much to do. And it seemed like a sacrifice of Elwind, and what it did was get Zeitnot really far ahead with all the extra space and farm that he was given.
And this is my favorite time of the game, is generally when we do see that one tower is being taken and not on the side tower and the side lanes.
Yeah.
Because now really a lot of focus is going to be towards Curé and Revolt, and where they do decide to show pressure. If you play towards Elwind right now, that's going to be a massive a problem towards Brahmin Lucian.
Yeah, and I think that the good thing here is that, you know, Braum Lucian were able to push up, get that big CS advantage without being punished by a teleport. You know, Yang did have the shove in response and could have maybe looked top, but, you know, all those wards have expired. No deep vision has come in from Revolta now. Arrow is available, but, you know, 35 CS is nothing to scoff at. So, big advantage right now in the bottom lane, and not really all that much INTZ can do as a response.
Yeah, early game items also picked up here by Zeitnot with that serrated dirk as well as the longsword and dagger. And it's going to be the pickaxe as well as double dagger here from Macau, so not exactly optimal from the Ashe. There's a bit of a scuffle in the river towards the top and bottom side.
And I love Rek'Sai going up against INTZ because even though if you can't get the wards in your favor, he does the most with the least amount of vision. Can really track down the enemy jungler, can track down what the enemy team is as a whole. His Q is fairly good. Looks like a really good one on Dragon.
And of course, when Raz says he means she in the Rek'Sai. But, you know, we're all good with that. Don't you call my land dolphin a male, my friend. But Cure's done a really good job of, playing towards top side, making sure that they have enough vision, and now disappearing into Fuggle Wall, picking up a free dragon for himself on the bottom side of the map.
I wish I knew the kind of species that Rek'Sai was, by the way.
Land dolphin, I just told you.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I think that their early game was actually pretty smart here, Dark Passage. Good reactionary play more than proactive play. Off the back, a lot of Cure and actually CosQ. So credit to CosQ for being able to help out his jungler in that situation.
And also make his way back up in this farm count as well. Was getting punished a little bit early on by Tockers, but since, after that big rotational play from INTZ, has been the benefactor. Has a 10 CS advantage. And now it is going to be about 1,000 gold in the lead for Dark Passage.
This is
losing first brick.
This is great for INTZ, where they keep putting up their bottom lane and this top lane to really defend this tower. Not only defend, but of course, your Karma and Ashe. Level 6, you're going to be really pressing the go button at any point with that Gragas. So Dark Passage right now, they should definitely always have Rek'Sai at least pathing towards top side to help out Braum and Lucian. If there are no TP wards being placed from INTZ, regardless of that, they can really chase you down through this lane.
Yeah, and this is smart. I mean, they don't want to allow Deep Freeze to come across, so they are trying to get some vision for themselves. But Dark Passage have fought back well in this regard.
Oh, Rogu. In a little bit of trouble, but Kieran says, I'm going to take away my Raptor camp, and that should be enough to deter them, and it was. Zelwind also clearing out vision, but that red buff still warded up. CosQ, no shield. Remember, the Ashe Arrow is available. Mikau looking for a target. Cure notices that he is going to have company around this Brambleback and is going to back away.
Both teams have very good pick potential right now. I mean, CosQ holds a lot of that on the side of Dark Passage. That's why they're collapsing around the mid lane. At the same time, Ashe, now that that Crystalline Arrow is available, can definitely just pick someone out. So.
Joxter gets warded. Nice Winter's Bite lands from Rogu, but not going to be able to catch up to the Karma that Inspire. A little bit too much movement speed. And the red buff was taken by Cure, despite all of the pressure.
It's good to see INTZ actually output this pressure. Real question is whether they're going to actually choke or play a lot more passive than their usual play. This time it looks like they're actually looking to aggress with their shove. Got to watch out though. Looks like Dark Passage in general have been looking to not only defend but actually get a pick whenever possible, and they do have CosQ right now a level 11, so if they get the opportunity they'll go for it.
Yeah, 4 members towards the top side of the map here as Rogu is going to show. Cure going to join him as well, so it looks like the hard shove on this outer turret, and we'll see whether they go for some sort of dive. CosQ was thinking about coming up, but due to Tockers shoving out that lane, did have to head back.
I actually think that INTZ probably should have rotated on that wave. I mean, it's hard to call, right? But you know that Elwind is going to shove the next wave. He doesn't want to be frozen on by Yang any more than what was the opposite at the start of the match. So, you can disappear Mikau and Joxter into Fog of War, maybe get Revolta up there to shove one extra wave, then use that Karma, use that Ashe to try and set up a pick in the bottom lane. Because right now,
Arrow's going to land. Good Unbreakable, but Rogu's still taking a lot of damage. The heal has to come out. Great exhaust onto Revolta as the culling comes in. Zeitnot interrupted as Tockers looking for the kill on the Braum. The Hemoplague's going to secure it as now Kire starting the fight. It is Tockers taking down Rogu first off, and now INTZ trying to chase this one out. CosQ turns up, takes down the minion wave, but Kire very low to start off anything, and the slow comes in. Good man-shrewd Q as Kire has to flash to get out of the way. That is just one pick for INTZ, but it looks like all they needed.
And I was saying the priority should have been used on the bottom side, but at least they get something on the top side of the map. Now that turret that they put all the additional work into earlier will be able to fall down, and INTZ probably looking to regain that gold lead.
Yeah, and that was a little scary for Revolta going in there because, of course, the Braum versus Gragas matchup, he puts up the shield. He actually has to hold his actual cast to see if he can actually bounce someone in. So his cast wasn't the most effective, but he didn't bounce Braum away. So in the end of the day, it works out well for them. They only get one pick, but at the end, that's what they wanted.
Yeah, it certainly was. And, we also got double summoner spells because of the cast, because he knew that Vlad was going to be able to pick up Rogu, so he threw it at Zeitnot, who had to burn heal and flash in response to that. So really like that play, and now they're looking for another one. He has Flash Body Slam.
I wonder what's going to happen.
I always wanted to cast PowerPoint League of Legends.
I liked this slide, though.
Well, they killed 3 members. That's what happened.
Whoa!
So let's figure it out. Revolta no longer has Flash, so he used Flash Body Slam out of the brush. That was most likely onto Karay, I want to say.
Yep.
And, you know, Ghostblade was burnt in response out of Zeitnot, but that didn't really work either. He died, and then Rogu jumped in to try and help out and died as well again. You know, this is what being a detective is all about, Raz.
Yeah.
And
This almost makes it more exciting.
and they picked themselves up a Rift Herald as response.
My prediction
Ah,
is
here we go.
God
Let's
will.
see exactly
Let's
what
find
did
out.
happen.
Flash Body Slam onto 2. I was wrong.
Well,
Okay.
that's the dream.
Yeah, he was able to get that flash body slam. They were setting it up for it in general. That was a great point. The fact that they knew that. That's honestly the only wave, only objective Dark Passage could look for other than the dragon. It was down, so they knew it was available, and INTZ really set up for it well.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing behind that was that the flash wasn't used the first time from Revolta because it was the arrow that set it up. So he still had a way to get in on multiple members. And the fact that they were that patient, I mean, let the wave get all the way to the turret, is kind of risky because generally the team will walk down through your jungle and actually get away. But Dark Passage, they make the wrong choice. There is only 2 of them. They walk back through the creep wave and Revolta cleans them up.
Great trade here, just off that. Dark Passage, sure, they take the top lane. And it looks like they're actually going to take mid lane as well. So not the best
So
trade.
much of a good trade as the arrow sails by.
If that had a hit, I think that actually would have been a fight starter because you can see that Joxer and Revolta were walking towards mid lane. Unfortunately, Macau, a little bit, you know, off with his arrow. Couldn't count the creeps enough at the wave. Means that they can't fight off the back of it because, yeah, you're right, that was looking good for INTZ, but they give up another turret, forfeit the gold lead again just a little bit, even though they have a lot of these kills, not really showing on the scoreboard just yet.
Yeah, and this is pretty bad because even though it was looking like a good trade, this is actually worst case scenario for INTZ. Not only do they lose their mid tower, means they lose a lot of priority, and a matchup right now, Malzahar is going to be shoving in quite a bit with his Merlin Namakan. So this is not looking good simply because Dark Passage now do have the inside track, or at least the option to go into either side lane. Give Elwind a lot more options, really.
But I think they've made like a weird choice here because they call out a wave. They sent CosQ back top lane. That's pushing in. They've got Elwind with teleport bottom lane. I like Elwind being there, but I do think that, you know, now that the Gragas Cassia is back available, Ash Arrow is going to be available on next minion wave. They do need to be careful with how they play this one Dark Passage. So, you know, they get a 500 gold lead back. They've got a good ward at the turret, so, you know, they can spot that arrow coming out. But they do need to make sure that, you know, they don't get picked off.
Yeah, this is a really weird way to use your mid tower advantage. Malzahar should just be mid, constantly shoving in, and just use your bottom lane to really set the tempo, either going bot side or top side, depending on which buff is really going to be your look towards. What are you looking for?
And the other thing is, right, is Vlad's going to match the Malzahar push. This is why I really don't like it. Like, Vlad is the one that wants the 1-3-1 at this stage of the game. I mean, Hurricane's being picked up on Ash. He can sit mid and wave clear, no problem. And then Vladimir actually just with this full tank build so far gets to get to his next item without being punished for it. In reality, what you should be looking to do is use Rogu and Zeitnot to apply pressure to the lane that Vlad wants to go to, because he can't really win that 1v1 or 1v2 at the moment because he has gone so far into MR and not really into damage. Saying that now that he's going towards a Rylai's Crystal Scepter, that window is going to close pretty quickly.
Yeah, best thing about this is not only does Vlad have QSS, Gragas has QSS as well. So
yeah, Revolta does not want to get Nether Grasp.
Yeah, and it's always great to see Gragas have QSS because if he does go in, he's going to be the engaging force. He's going to be engaging with his own actual body. So if he goes in, get the body slam, he doesn't want to get locked down and completely demolished. He wants to have that time to really throw out his cask. So sending Vlad in the side wave with QSS means that he's 100% going to be able to chase down the Malzahar. Send him mid, get that priority going. That's what they should do.
Well, we do have some big item spikes actually coming in as Macau just finished off his Infinity Edge. On the other side, though, CosQ does have his Rylai's Crystal Scepter for that 2-item spike. And the Titanic Hydra is completed here for Elwind. See where the DP is looking for a fight, because it does look like INTZ are prepared, especially with that Ashe looking very, very strong. And all of these QSSs that they've got. All over the place.
A lot of setup, nothing really to contest. 21 minutes into the game, they can't really look to take Baron, so INTZ is not really respecting that. They only have one blue trinket on their team, not really available right now, so Talker should head back to get a blue.
Elwind's got the flank here as Joxter is going to get stunned up, but he doesn't fall down.
CosQ's
Good
in
shield
trouble.
comes in, and Joxter will eventually fall down. CosQ in trouble as he gets down towards the bottom side, but Talkers has to use his pull very, very early as there's the flash. Gets out of the way of the arrow there from Zeitnot as Yang gets himself forward, but is it too much? There's a flash. Macau looks for the crit, but doesn't get it. as Rogu is able to get himself out. It's a 1-for-0 trade, but DP have lost all of their health bars.
And they used every single summoner spell and nearly lost out on the fight. I mean, let's take another look at the end of it again. Mikau flashing forward, that was so close. But Kozky's positioning for what was a pick was really poor there, Raz. I mean, he walked up outside of the Braum range. He got cast back into the entirety of the team.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Dark Passage, with what should be a power spike right now, ultimately loses the trade.
Exactly, and it could have gone a lot worse. Mikau did end up missing out on his Ashe ulti. So they get the mid tower for that, and sure, they lost a member of their team, but that is really good for INTZ here.
Yeah, that was pretty much worst case scenario for Dark Passage. I mean, they pulled the trigger on the fight, they had priority, but they get stopped up. I mean, when you have something like the Malzahar burning pretty much double summoner spells to get in, let's have another look at it. Ghost Flash on the way in, and then gets served into the entirety of the team. I mean, if Elwyn wasn't there, would have been a much, different team fight. But on the back end of this, Tokka's, Joxa, Mikau, Tokka's, Yang, Mikau, they're all sitting as a group, and there's no way KOSQ can get back in, so that means that they just don't have the damage output anymore out of their Malzahar to be able to win that fight. I think that's really sloppy out of KOSQ, actually. I don't think he can afford to be the one that pulls the trigger like that at the start of every fight.
Yeah, exactly. And if he's going to do it, then he at least has to let the rest of his team know. It felt like they were running up behind. The moment he flashed in and got the ulti off, Kyrie went into a tunnel, but it was fairly late. So if you're going to do it simultaneously.
Yeah.
You can't do it like that because Malzahar was irrelevant afterwards.
Yeah, and I really do think that that's a good point. It's kind of weird when you can, when you burn double mobility summoners get into a team fight, and you, follow up, the rest of the team is like, we would love to, but we actually just can't.
We're not here yet.
They're going for the play one more time, however.
Yeah, Mikau is going to get stopped up. Really good killer as Mikau gets destroyed. Rogu delivered to him and bonks him in the back of the head. Zeitnot all the way at the front of the fight as he tries to cull Jockster. He does end up falling down, and Zeitnot survives somehow as Tokka's looking to try and get himself in there. We're going to study this moment for a little while, but he wasn't able to find anyone. That is a much better team fight coming out of Dark Passage. They wait for the pillar, they isolate one target, and then KOSQ blows them up. That's how the composition should be played. I think that is a much better flame coming out of the team, and it's because KOSQ wasn't the one that started it. He followed up on the isolated target.
Exactly, and this is why I love Trundle in this actual composition. Once he sets down that pillar, really there's no way you can come in and help Mikau. So Zeitnot, sure, he found himself in a poor end of that fight because he actually got completely ulted in. But regardless of that, that was an excellent engage from the team. Trundle really showing that he can shove out and really impact this team fight.
And already, of course, that's the 2-item spike for Zeitnot. Picks that one up, and then immediately they win a team fight. Good illustration there. Well, it was a little bit of a disaster otherwise for INTZ, who are now clawing themselves back. Of course, it's not very much as far as gold is concerned.
Yeah, this has been a very back and forward game, and I think it shows that, whoever executes on their comp is going to win it, because we've seen a couple of engages, with the Ash Arrow, with the Flash Body Slam coming out of Gragas. When INTZ have priority, they're winning the team fight. And then we've seen one very good engage coming out of, Elwind, out of Corée, where KOSQ manages to follow up this time. And that was an absolute wash. So I really do think that, Dark Passage right now at this stage of the game do have priority everywhere on the map. But it's about whether they can execute on their composition properly.
Yeah,
exactly. He's going to surge through. KOSQ gets caught out and will be destroyed. The ultimate was there from Rogu, but unable to save his mid laner.
And once again, if you can execute on your comp, I mean, if you're a Malzahar, you can't go wandering through a river, because even if that arrow didn't hit, he had no summoner spells, and the Echo Parallel Convergence was on top of him already. He was definitely going to die. INTZ playing up this mid lane now.
Exactly.
He looks so disappointed.
Well, because it just happens time and time again where teams are forfeiting their actual pressure on the map. Kyrie didn't know that KOSQ was in the line of fire. He actually tunneled across the wall, so he could not head back and help out his team. The team was there, just unable to actually help him in that situation.
Yeah, the one person that took the arrow couldn't afford to take the arrow pretty much, especially if you're going to burn double summoner spells to get in. I really do want to point out, however, that, regardless, he was probably going to eat the Echo Stun. So I just think that that's a little bit of miscommunication one more time. You got to be able to communicate. You have to take this arrow. You can't go back over the wall. Otherwise, I'm going to die. And in the end, he does.
Well, as far as an update on the rest of the map, I mean, we've got a 70 CS lead here for Elwind on this Trundle. If we were talking about Elwind as a win condition for this team, I feel like he's setting himself up as best he possibly can at the moment.
Well, the best thing about this is he's actually setting up the rest of his team because there's so much priority. Not only just the priority, Dark Passage's earlier investment in the Dragons are paying off. 26 minutes into the game, you have the Malzahar and 2 Earth Dragons. If you're INTZ, you have to respect this Baron take. So right now, with Trundle pressuring the side lane incredibly well, does mean that Dark Passage is in a good point where they really don't have to pick a fight going forward.
They're also able to clear out a lot of this vision around the Baron area. We'll see whether they pull the trigger straight away.
But one more time, I mean, they're playing with Zeitnot in the mid lane, 3 members towards the Baron pit. There is a ward spotting Zeitnot out. Like, Ash Arrow can come through right now if they want to look for it.
Oh, there it is as well, as Macau is able to lock that one down. Good heal comes out, but there's the flash from Joxer. Can't get it.
That's fine. Flash and heal out of Zeitnot one more time. That's just them not playing the map correctly. They have such a pressure point around Baron pit. Why is Zeitnot, the 80 carry, solo farming out, you know, 2012 double lift impression style? That's one more time that, you know, Dark Passage are going to lose key summoner spells, especially against the likes of Gragas, the likes of Ash. You just can't afford to do this too many times.
The best thing about this, or at least it shows how Dark Passage actually wants to pressure this out, because Malzahar, probably the best option to stick mid with Rek'Sai to get the wave shoved in. He does have a lot of damage, doesn't have to commit much mana, but they want to actually hide Malzahar so they can actually get the most respect humanly possible for this Baron take. But they're not willing to actually press the button. So looks like they're just kind of footing around the pit, footing around their vision, but unwilling to do so. And the longer they take in this position, obviously you're going to give INTZ a lot more of an opportunity to get the pick that we saw just then.
Yeah, 100%. And the big thing for me is the fact that, you know, INTZ's defensive pings are so much better than what Dark Passage have right now. So they were able to fire that arrow out of Fog of War. They knew it was there. They've got 3 pink wards in their side of the jungle because they understand that, you know, if you just have the pit warded and you can approach, that they can probably stop this Baron for a little bit longer. I mean, Burning Face hasn't been picked up by Malzahar yet in the Leandry's torment, so they are going to be okay. But we keep going back to it. Elwyn right now, he's massive. He's 60 CS up. He's 2 levels ahead of Yang. So that early game definitely coming out ahead for him. But the advantage doesn't last forever.
We'll see whether they can act on it now as Revolta breaks the shield on CosQ, but just testing the waters for the moment as Tokas gets some damage on the Kure.
And he feels very free, like just able to do that because he does have the QSS. If the ulti is burned, he's just going to immediately QSS an ulti since the passive on Malzahar is down. So there's no real way to punish that since Trundle right now is in the bottom lane. So good for Revolta, pretty ballsy, you would think, for him to just randomly body slam right into that. But he knows exactly how it would play out.
Well, we've got 4 QSSs now completed, so INTZ can probably do that with 4 people. Of course, Joxter painting a large target on the back of his head now by not grabbing one himself, but doesn't want to conform.
I also think that, you know, at this stage of the game, if you're ulting up the Karma, she probably just wants to get a Mantra D off for the rest of the team, and she's going to be quite content with the job that she's done.
We actually saw that, didn't we? And it went in favor of INTZ.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that, you know, this is an area that CosQ has to wait for his ultimate now. You know, maybe off the back end of a Braum stun or something like that. Or just use it to get the initial tag of the Braum in there. And then, you know, use the follow-up damage that's going to come out of someone like Zeitnot to really lock down the kill. Now, Alwyn's being targeted out. Don't know if they're going to be able to win this, Raz.
This is going to be awful.
They're doing the best that they can right now as Elwyn just throws down the subjugate and says, well, try and kill me now.
They just wanted the ultimate actually out of him, so, you know, that means that Yang at this stage can't be soloed out when it pushes up, but now Tucker's in a little bit of trouble.
Looking for Macau. Winter's Bite does land, but Rogu might be a little bit too far forward. Stands behind a minion as there's the flash from CosQ gets him out of the way of the arrow.
Interesting choice from the 4-man unit, but they're not done here.
Yeah, Elwyn possibly out of position, but good pillar.
But overall, of course, if the jungler is going to be showing into this bot side, Revolta knowing that the full control of this Baron is in Dark Passage's favor, but they end up going for it anyways. Looks like they're going to be fighting for Dragon here.
Yeah, no Ash Arrow means that initiation is a little bit harder, and the team fight has been split. Oh, he steals away the Dragon here as well, and it has started up. Immediately, the Karma gets destroyed as Yang in the backline has to ult himself back into the Baron pit as Tokka's going 1v1, loses it against CosQ. There's a really big parallel convergence, but unable to go off as CosQ eventually falls down. Macau trying to get damage over the wall as Elwyn flashes forward. It's a double kill for Kure in the pit. As now Macau and Tokka's trying to kite this one out. It's a 3-for-2 so far as Tokka's, he wants that pull back up and does find it as the pillar doesn't lock down the Vladimir.
INTZ get away with the skin of their teeth, but they lose the dragon. That is 3 mountains now for Dark Passage.
Yeah, that's massive. All of a sudden, you know, Baron is the realest threat on the map. Dark Passage still win the team fight as well. It is a 3-for-1, I think, in the end. And really, that was on the back end of a really nice pillar out of Elwyn. The Echo was on top of the Lucian, and the pillar stopped it for just enough time for him to be able to get out enough damage. You know, they re-engaged the team fight, and they absolutely smashed him on the back end.
So right now, going to what the next play is going to be, obviously Baron is the most amount of pressure Dark Passage can put forward. But now, Elwyn is in an amazing position. And so I guess we're just going to take a second look at how this team fight actually played out.
Yeah, so as they run into the Dragon Pit here, you know, you see Yang dive onto Zeitnot, and this pillar right here that actually separates him, makes him go back into the pit, means Zeitnot can get away with it. Meanwhile, pretty much Vladimir solos out the Malzahar. Zeitnot does end up falling down to Yang, who gets flashed over the wall and destroyed by Corey, who actually just fired a Praise Seeker, so didn't even need a flash there. But that was a really nice team fight out of Dark Passage. Elwyn's pillars have actually surprised the heck out of me. He's team fighting really well on a champion that is hard to execute upon.
Yeah, looking really good as
the
Baron has been started. Hawkshot does come in. You can see Yang, he started off the teleport. In goes Revolta as Rogu starts off the fight. Good Glacial Fissure as Jockster immediately falls down. Kozq grabs that kill as Elwyn looking in the backline, but Yang destroying the backline of Dark Passage. Zeitnot flashes himself over the wall as Tokka's trying to get the damage down that he can, but Yang starting to go off. Revolta falls, but Zeitnot sacrifices his life for it, and Elwyn, the raid boss that he is not quite strong enough, and that's the triple, and INTZ will win the team fight.
And one more time, horrible decision-making out of the Dark Passage lineup. Zeitnot dashes back over the wall to challenge who he thinks is solo Revolta, and just eats an Ash Arrow in the face and dies immediately. I mean, INTZ, they come up huge in that regard, but that was just really bad positioning from the team fight.
And just looking at a broader perspective, they should not even want gone for it. You have three Earth Dragons. Don't go for the Baron itself. That gives Elwyn so much strength in going bottom lane and actually challenging the Yang, who did end up going for QSS here, means that the matchup's going to be that much harder for him, so don't actually put it to a team fight situation.
So one more time, the engage comes in, Rogu re-engages this one, but Tokka's flies into the back line, and all of a sudden, I mean, Zeitnot has to get over the wall. Here he sees Revolta, and he kind of says, you know, I can take this one-on-one duel, but he just gets destroyed. It wasn't even an arrow, I don't think. I think he just got auto-attacked. And then on the back end, I mean, Tokka's is able to clean it up. So, you know, once again, just really questioning the positioning. We talk about 500 comps a lot, you know, the fact that they can't really get in without being in danger. And, you know, that was just a good example of it, of Zeitnot not making the right call.
Exactly, and so we don't see much Lucian in general in this patch, mostly because it is a mid lane AD carry going up against Vladimir, Echo, really unable to peel yourself from that massive tanky force. But if you're going to play it, then you have to play it with a good mind of how you're positioning. We're not seeing that right now.
Well, what we're seeing is a massive Ash, because that is the Phantom Dancer completed, as well as that first 2-item spike. Has the QSS, has the Last Whisper as well, and Macau in a silent achiever this game. 4, 1, and 5 now. Massive amount of kill participation, 80-odd%.
Another poor decision from Dark Passage. Elwyn is committing straight back onto this Baron simply because they can take it quickly, but INTZ, best situation from them, they can take that fight any day of the week.
They want the 5v5 now. Like, as soon as the Last Whisper is picked up, as soon as, you know, this Vladimir is as big as he is now, they actually want the 5v5.
Well, they're looking to get themselves in here as well as Kirei tunnels himself outside, not trying to take down some Krugs, as INTZ will be able to steal away the red. They have complete control around this Baron now, as Tokka's still trying to create space. The arrow held onto by
Not
Macau.
only do they have complete control around Baron, I mean, bottom wave is huge. It's reversing onto Dark Passage's side of the matchup. They just have control of the whole map.
We're looking for an option here as Hemoplague goes out into a couple of members. Tokka's getting himself in there with the pull as Revolta finds the body slam, but not quite good enough. As Elwyn gets himself the flank, this is a good position and a great pillar. Oh, that ultimate out of Revolta was fantastically placed, but Elwyn's still in there. Being a nuisance, Jockster is going to fall down, and Yang has to ult himself out. Does survive for the moment and has the GA, but look at that AoE damage. The shutdown comes in onto Macau, but that's a triple kill for Zeitnot, and Yang still melting down. The GA is still there, and he won't actually have to use it, but that's a big fight for Dark Passage.
So INTZ just chipping out the tank line. Their ulti, the Ashe ulti hit Zeitnot, but he was so safe in that complete scenario. And of course, Elwin gets a great flank, able to tank up the world at this point in the game, and really does set the team fight for them.
Choke points with a pillar, just a disgusting situation. And Elwin, great placement to start that one off.
But a little bit of hesitation from Dark Passage here. I mean, Correa was the person that went back to once again deal with the creep line. It means that they can't start up the Baron. I think that was an opportunity to be able to look at it if you send the Trundle back instead. You know, bottom wave is massive. Someone still has to go deal with that. So really nice team fight this time as we take another look at it. You're right. It was just a huge flank that came out of the Trundle. I mean, Tokka's burnt so much to get in the first time. And then this really just ruined their day because no one could get out of here. And it looked like it was going to go so well. Revolta, immediate interruption, but then you realize that the two squishies are isolated on the bottom part of the team fight. And you're right, it was just Zeitnot. His target selection this time around was much better. One more time goes aggressive, but gets away from the Vladimir. And it means that he was able to pick up a triple kill before getting blown up, but he did his job.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice to see CDR coming out of Trundle here with that Spirit Visage. Not going to be for that CDR, but it's a nice plus because he was able to get 2 key killers throughout the entire fight, zoning Macau and ending up killing Joxer, not only taking his flash initially, but they were able to chase him down and demolish them throughout the entire fight. And it's making the team fight that much easier for Zeitnot.
And, you know, honestly, Joxer's had a little bit of a rough game this time around. You can see that, you know, he's been in the front line maybe one too many times, got 5 deaths for his team. You know, he is the person that's trying to land down some key snares or something like that to be able to keep the front line off his poor AD carry. But you need to be a little bit more careful with how you're playing that.
Oof. That arrow very close onto Rogu. The Winter's Bite not going to find Tokka's either. INTZ still positioning aggressively. It was an overreach that lost in the last team fight. Maybe just need to calm down, cool the jets.
Yeah, no, I think that they're actually playing the game pretty correctly at the moment. I mean, their Ashe is absolutely massive. It's sitting a Last Whisper ahead of what the Lucian is. And the Lucian, you know, hasn't gone towards any crit, so they definitely have an area to be able to play with. So I don't mind the fact that, you know, they're trying to play up and aggressive. It's just that they need to be able to land the Ashe arrow. They need to be able to get these key initiations on. Because eventually, COSQ is going to outscale the whole team. I mean, Meltahar late game is absolutely disgusting.
Well, speaking of which, they're going to go straight onto this Baron, already down to half health, as Kirei wasn't even in the pit, as Jock's still looking to lock him down. Praseeker comes in. They do take down the Baron, as Yang gets himself into the backline one more time. INTZ looking for the team fight, as Tokka's right in the middle of it. Gets into the pool and starts doing work. COSQ now trying to kite this one out as Yang goes down to his GA, gets the shutdown as Zeitnot dashes over the wall. The culling is going to lock down the Vladimir, and Macau is able to finish off the team fight. INTZ come up trumps. Elwin gets the chomp onto the supporters. Now COSQ, can he get the Malefic Visions across the team? No. Looks like he can't, and he's the last man standing. This is dangerous. Another arrow, and that is going to be the ace, and possibly even the game here for INTZ.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. Only 15 seconds on Zeitnot. That team fight went for a very long time, but INTZ one more time, even though they lose the Dragon, able to pick up the team fight win. They'll probably look to see if they can get themselves an inhibitor here, but that was one more time. You know, the fact that Zeitnot gets left alone pretty much with the Vladimir and gets destroyed and not able to get around the other side.
That was a smart play initially from Dark Passage. They knew that Echo was taking that massive wave. They're going to go and try and end this game right here.
Yes. So it was actually 25 seconds. Zeitnot's up in 5, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
One Nexus turret. Just a cheeky Nexus turret so far, as Rogu does say, get out of my house, and they agree.
But that was a smart play initially from Dark Passage. They knew that Echo was going to answer it. They have 3 Earth Dragons. They're going to be able to burn that down. And you have Trundle to boot. Why not just disengage from that? You have Trundle and Braum. Walk away. You got the pick. Sure, maybe, perhaps you'll be sacrificing Kirei in the thick of things. Maybe COSQ as well. But you have Baron off of that. That could have been an amazing play from Dark Passage here.
I think that that's one of the times where you can actually see communication troubles coming in, because it's like, are we fighting or are we disengaging? If multiple members get caught in the pit, my automatic response is, you know, you've got yourself Lucian, pretty much, you know, Braum can jump over as well. Kirei can jump over. 3 people should have been out of the back end of the pit. They should have sacrificed 2 members to keep 3 Baron buffs as well as 3 Mountain Drakes on what is pretty much a good 1-4 comp right now. Probably would have been game for Dark Passage. They would have been able to close the game out on the back end of that. Instead, you know, we're fighting, but we're staying in the Baron pit versus a Vladimir who's going to absolutely destroy the entirety of our team, and that is exactly what happened. So I think that's one of the times that you can just see those decision-making, the communication not quite there.
But not going to get caught out there.
INTZ
were looking for a pick.
They must have looked to commit for the fight in general, simply because Lucian did have flash and heal. He looked. I'm pretty sure he flashed in place, trying to dodge out his cell. Could have easily flashed out of the pit. He had his E as well, so there was no other reason than the fact that they thought they could win that out.
Yeah, and you know, if you're going to win, just get the heck out of the pit. I mean, exit towards the top side, fight in the river, open it up, allow the Braum to do his job there. Instead, you know, fighting in the pit, unless you can keep Tokkers out, you're going to lose the fight.
Elwin right on the front line here. Might actually have to use the Subjugate right now as the Culling flies across, gets the Revolter for a lot of damage. Good pillar placement once again, but Elwin still taking damage. And there's Kozgu, throws down the ultimate, but it gets immediately QSS'd. There are 5 on this team, remember, and there's the engagement. Kozgu right into the enemy team and will be taken down. That's a GA for Cure as well, as Elwin cannot tank anymore. Rogu's going to get taken down. Rampage for the Ashe, who goes ballistic in the backline. That's going to be the ace. And the triple kill for Yang once again.
And one more time, INTZ are patient enough. They wait out the ultimate, and then when Kozgu's in a bad position, they pounce. Revolta, huge ultimate. And Mikau cleans up the back end of the team fight. INTZ going to win game number 1.
That is going to be the Nexus falling down. INTZ 1-0 now in this best-of-5 series. And one step closer to Worlds. But that was a whole lot closer than I was expecting. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, and honestly, throughout the entire game, we were wondering how Kozgu was going to perform. And from the very beginning to the very end, questions about his positioning really did shine through. There was no reason for him to be positioned so alone, isolated from his team there.
Yeah, he was actually looking for the aggressive play. You saw that he got the ultimate out into the Fog of War. I mean, maybe that play works and you're the hero, but more likely, you know, you're going to get picked out because so many QSSs are built up at that stage, and they have so many ways to break that passive and get him back into the team. As we take a look at some highlights, it definitely wasn't an easy game for INTZ. I mean, Yang overcommits here and gets absolutely destroyed. Elwin takes a bite out of him.
Yeah, this was a disaster of an early game for for INTZ, where they had the early shoves, they had proper lanes. Not only did that lane not work out for them, but of course that jungle shove here in the early game was repelled by Cure.
Yeah, and one more time, you know, you can see that Dark Passage, they're just a little bit hesitant with their decision making. If the Echo's teleporting to the turret, there must be someone else here. Let's run out. Actually, it's 3 members. We're all going to die. This was a good team fight one more time. Shout out to Elwin. Great pillar placement there. Really ruins Yang's day. And they are able to pick up a good scrappy team fight victory here. But I really do have to question, you know, just some of the small micro decisions that were made in this game, especially, not this one, but the one after it.
Yeah. So overall, it's going to be interesting to see how Dark Passage take this game going forward. We talked about them really making it a lot more of a linear, easier play style for them in the group stages. Right here, Trundle could not really look to split push, or he could, but they decided to actually look for those team fights. They decided to look for those team plays around objectives, and they did get outplayed numerous times.
And I think the biggest thing is, you know, we said you have to be able to prove that the 3 top lane bans are justified. Yang did get shut down early, but at the same time, you let a Vladimir and an Ashe just run rampant. 2 very good scaling carries at the end of the day. And you saw that even though Zeitnot had a very good team fight here, dashing forward, picking up a triple kill for himself, it was few and far between because if Vladimir was able to zone him out, the Ashe just had much more pressure around the map.
And it comes down to how they played it out, because Elwin could have easily just decided to bin that split pushing pressure. They could have used the Earth Dragons to their, or at least their ability to take the Baron to their advantage.
Yeah.
Trying to make it easier for Elwin to shove out and abuse the matchup. QSS now doesn't work towards Trundle's ulti, so that just means that Yang is dishing out a lot more gold just for the Malzahar. That means that you don't have to pick the fight anymore. You don't have to look for those team fights. You can just make it easier for Elwin and easier for your style, because that's how you've been playing throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with that. And one more time, I'm just going to echo that I don't think they identified what their comp did well, because they're looking for these 5v5 team fights when they just picked up a Baron and everyone had flash available. So not only could 3 people survive, everyone just go over the back wall. I mean, get the heck out of dodge and, you know, play towards what is at split pushing Trundle. Instead, they were trying to team fight time and time again, and this is the last one. INTZ just run over the top because they have so many more tools to win a team fight. I mean, sure, we saw Dark Passage, if they play it perfectly, they can pick them up, but INTZ's comp is built to team fight, get that early pick off, you know, be able to displace people. So that was, you know, I just don't think, if Dark Passage is going to pick that style of composition, play towards it. We complimented them. Play 1-4, play a very easy to execute style. Don't group up in that manner.
Yeah, and their early game went fantastically as well for their composition. You were talking about the fact that they had the shove on the side of INTZ. They were shoving out the bottom lane. Things were looking disastrous. And then all of a sudden, Revolta doesn't have Flash. All of the pressure now back in the hands of Dark Passage. That honestly felt like it couldn't have gone any better for the team, but still weren't able to convert it into a victory, even though so incredibly even all the way around. And we thought that late game was going to be the realm of Dark Passage because their decision-making has actually been good in that area.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, the question is now, how is their Dark Passage coach, Lelouch, how is he going to talk to the team, really figure out where the problems went through? Because I think Dark Passage actually played out their early game fairly well, even though they were at a disadvantage. They had a good composition. It really just came down to how they decided to play it out.
And I also think that they got Elwyn the advantage. That's what we said they needed to do. We didn't think they were going to be able to do it, but, you know, 3 bans at Yang and a priority pick of the Trundle means that they were able to get that win condition going, and then they just didn't play towards it. I mean, that was really confusing. When Yang was level 14, just turned level 14, I mean, Elwyn was level 16 and 70 CS ahead of him. Just play towards the damn Trundle.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly right. Well, we'll see whether they can do it next time around, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go to a short break. When we get back, game number 2 between INTZ and DP. Don't go anywhere.